Welcome to Shape the Podcast, a podcast all about maintaining mental health by sharing stories from those who have overcome negative experiences and feelings, then turned them into something positive. Meet your host.
Oh, hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another live episode of Shape the Podcast. Kyle Waller, your host. As you can see, no Jason tonight. His wife wanted him to have dinner with them and friends tonight on a podcast night of all things. You'd think she would know his schedule by now. But, yeah, you know, it happens. But I hope you have all had an enjoyable week because if you saw, I did a live podcast last Saturday. And that was pretty awesome. Did a live podcast with Sarah Fight and also Scott from the Depot Brewing Company. Sarah is the founder of Drive Hope for suicide prevention. And we did a podcast from Depot that was all about a beer that Drive Hope and Depot, along with 5 other breweries, came out with to benefit Suicide Awareness Month. And that was with the Ohio Suicide Prevention Foundation, the OSPF. So, yeah, that was a great time with Sarah and with Scott. And in regards to that, you know, a lot of you know that I'm in the bearding community. You know, I've competed in beard and mustache competitions for many years now, and now I'm on the organizing side, and you know, hopefully emceeing and judging some. But out of last Saturday's podcast came a development, so to speak. Nothing's been released yet online, but it soon will. But on December the 14th, done at the Depot Brewing Company in Morrow, Ohio, there is going to be a beard and mustache competition. All right, it's the same day that the Bengals play the Ravens, and the Depot Brewing Company is known for their tailgating. So yeah, so there's going to be a small little 5-category beard and mustache competition at Depot Brewing Company, and the beneficiary for that will be Drive Hope for suicide prevention. So that's awesome that is going to take shape. And like I said, more information will be released here soon in regards to that event. Right now, all the logistics, things of that nature are being worked out. So I know that, you know, we're planning to have a 50-50, or shall I say they're planning to have a 50-50 raffle. Hopefully some other raffles as well. You know, trying to get the local community involved, you know, because that's what the Depot Brewing Company is all about, is that they're all about the community aspect. And so, yeah. And here, next Wednesday, I'll actually be back down at the Depot because I'm interviewing one of their bartenders. Her name is Hannah. I'll be interviewing her and her mom because they both lost not only a father but a husband to suicide. And they'll be talking about their story with that. So I see Mike Baker commented earlier. He's always watches the replays. It's good to have Mike Baker as a podcast viewer. And I see somebody named Lauren Sells. Thank you for the comments, and thank you for the, you know, the beard comment. It's just a beard. You know, if I were to shave my beard tomorrow, I would be still the human being that I am, you know. But yeah, I tell you, it's been a whirlwind of a month. This year This month has flown by. Um, I just want to make a quick announcement out there um, in regards to everything that's been going on in this world. If you feel like that you're struggling mentally uh, with what's going on, if you need somebody to talk to, um, reach out to me. Reach out to the Facebook page, Shape the Podcast. It's a safe place for everybody to come, everybody to share their stories, um, to talk about their experiences without feeling any type of guilt, um, without being shamed, um, because I won't put up with it, you know. Um, and we all just need to learn how to be better humans. That's all I'm saying, you know. Um, but anyways, enough about that. All right. I hope everybody is doing fine. I tell you, it feels really weird without having Jason here, right? Because Jason, we like to banter back and forth, and hopefully he'll be on the next one, which the next one will be on October 5th. By the way, that will be the next live podcast, and then for the rest of the month of October, um, my wedding anniversary is in October, and that's on the 20th. It'll be 4 years. 4 years that my wife has put up with me, and I mean that. But yeah, that's gonna be on October 20th. So October the 5th, we'll have a live podcast. October the 17th, we will not have a live podcast, but there will be a podcast that night. It just won't be a live one. And then on Halloween, we're not doing a podcast at all because that'll be a time that families are with their kids, taking them trick or treating, and so yeah. So October the 5th, a live podcast. October 17th, a pre-recorded podcast, and on Halloween night, there will not be a podcast. So, and then who knows what November has? That's way too far away. But yeah, so my guest tonight is a woman who reached out to me via the Let's Talk Lebanon page here in the city I live in. I know I have a lot of viewers outside of the state of Ohio, but here in the city I live in, which is Lebanon, Ohio, we have a couple of local pages, and one of those is called Let's Talk Lebanon. And my guest tonight reached out after I put a I don't know what you'd call a cry for guests, and she reached out and said, "Yes, I want to come on. I want to tell my story." And of course, I said yes, because I'm not going to turn anybody down. So she sent me a synopsis of her story, and it is awesome. It is a story that I hope all of you will get something out of. So my guest tonight is Miss Lacie Haskins, and I don't know if she's ready yet because I don't see her face, but let's find out if she's ready. Oh, and she's not there yet, so we'll let her do whatever she needs to, and I might just send her a notification to let her know that I'm ready for her to come on. She got everything set up, so ready. But yeah, what's up, Dino? Thank you for joining, man. Appreciate you as always for joining the podcast every other Friday night. I appreciate it. But yeah, while we're waiting on Lacie to get on camera, what's been going on, everybody? I see I have 4 viewers. What's everybody been up to? Like what? How's your week's been? My weeks have been crazy busy because of work. I work in the underground utility locating, and right now it is dig season for a lot of people. So 811 has kept us busy with you know, a lot of fiber tickets. Fiber optics is a big thing here, in the city that I live in, and a lot, landscaping, things of that nature. So yeah, it's been crazy. And then this weekend, my wife, she crochets. She has a Facebook page called SB Crochet, which stands for Stitching and Bitching. Right? She will be at a local craft fair vendor market um, in town called a Homestead Market on Creek, which is located near the town I live in. So she'll be there selling her wares. But I see Lacey's back. She's on camera now. So let's try this again. Let's bring her up. Hey, yeah,
Hi.
I brought you up because I thought you were ready, and then you weren't there, and so I took you down. But
Oh,
welcome back, and thank you for coming on the podcast tonight to share your story. We briefly talked uh, prior to this, and I did share with everybody how you came across my podcast. But I have a lot of viewers that don't
hmm
know you. Like most of my viewers probably don't know you, and then probably a handful do, possibly. But if you want to, go ahead and introduce yourself,
yeah.
and then we'll just go from there.
Okay. Well, I'm Lacie Haskins. I am 32 and I'm born and raised Lebanon, Ohio. I have 3 kids and a husband.
The 3 kids and a husband that acts like a kid at
Yep.
times. All right.
Yeah,
But
most
by
of
the
the
way,
time.
here's somebody that knows you, Brittany
Yeah.
Groves. All right.
Hi,
Well, hey,
Brittany.
that's awesome that you have people tuning in to hear your story. So you sent me a synopsis of your story. So, and I know you're nervous. So everybody, uh, give her some claps, give her some cheers, help her out, send her some good vibes. But if you want to, just start wherever you want to, and we'll just go from there.
Okay. Like I kind of told you before, basically just ever since I can remember, I've always struggled mentally with mental health.
Uh,
It started when, I mean, I don't know when, before hormones start, but that was kind of my family's approach to it was you're just like an emotional teenage girl, there's nothing, you have no reason to be depressed. Like there's nothing,
uh,
so that's kind of how that was through the teen years, which led to a lot of rebellion. I was pretty bad from,
nah, really?
uh, oh yeah.
I think we
I
all had
turned
our
13 and it was like Satan took over.
yeah. I
Yeah.
think we've all had our rebellious stages. By the way, there's more people popping in who know you. Uh, Lauren Sells knows you,
Hi, Lauren.
huh?
Yeah.
And then Mrs. Is it Kala or Kayla Wagner?
Taylor. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my best
So
friend.
there you go. Huh.
Yeah.
So you said at 13 the rebellious stage started. That's I would say 13,
Yep.
14 for me too. It's crazy how that age just
Yeah.
you become a teenager and then it goes downhill from there, so to speak.
Yep. Yep.
So
But
what
so,
so
I did reach out to my parents for help, wanted help, and they just took it as emotions, hormones taking over. They
yeah.
were extremely present themselves. I don't want to say anything bad, they're great parents and I love them very much. Thanks, mom and dad. But they had their own issues, so they just weren't present, especially emotionally, which is, I think, and I don't know, I can't speak for men, but I know as a girl, that was like very pivotal, I think, in a lot of
Yeah.
my mental health now that I can look back. Um, and some of the things that I went through that I probably wouldn't have, relationship wise, things like that, had they been more emotionally available to me.
Now, do you
And
think do you think that they were, or just that, but on your perspective they weren't? Make because of course guys and girls are different when it comes to emotions with
right.
family. Um, so I
Mhm.
mean, like, what was there no like attentiveness there, like to them, be like, all right,
No,
Lacey,
so my parents got divorced when I was 2. And then so they did shared parenting well. Like, and I'd spend half the week with my dad, half the week with my mom.
Yeah.
My dad was a pretty bad alcoholic for my whole life. Nothing mean or anything like that. He still went to work every day. He still provided for us, but he worked long days. He was a single dad. He was a meat cutter for Seeger's Meats and Deli in Lebanon forever. So he worked long days, 6 days a week, but he just drank vodka all day. I didn't know that until I was older. We just thought he was kind of like a little bit more fun dad. He didn't really care what we did, or like he did, but he didn't. We lived in an area where we could have 4-wheeler. We did all the things. But by 7 p.m., he was asleep. I'm talking asleep. He had 4 alarm clocks to wake him up asleep. So from that point on, I was kind of on my own. Didn't matter if it was a school night, didn't matter if it was a weekend. I mean, my friends had a lot of fun, but there were times that, that you got to be a parent, but he is sober now. He has been for 9 years. So that's good. But on my mom's side, it was not quite the same. She wasn't like going to bed super early or anything like that, but she did drink. She had, not tons and tons of boyfriends, but she had different men and they always seemed like they moved in really fast. So they took a lot of that attention too. I spent a lot of time in my room, not because she made me, but it was just more comfortable.
Nice.
So that's what I mean when I say like they weren't like available,
Yeah.
And that's like from that generation where it's like everybody goes through it, everybody feels this, it's not a big deal.
Yeah. And you have to it had to be hard because, your parents are separated, I'm sure that, with you, the emotions are already running high anyway because your mom and dad aren't together, and then like you said, your dad was a raging alcoholic, and congratulations on 9 years to him. That's pretty amazing, But I could.
Yeah, I never thought it would happen. I never thought it would.
It's sometimes things happen in our lives that will give us that wake up call. You know what I'm saying? And here's the thing. I'm gonna say this to everybody. If you drink, it's okay. But if you drink to where you're using that as a coping mechanism, you're using that to cover up the way you feel. You're using that to get your mental health right. Then you're drinking all for the wrong reasons. So
right.
It's sobriety.
And I always say I didn't truly meet my dad till I was 23 when he got sober. Like I didn't truly know my dad as a person till I was 23 years old. You think you do,
and then you had to relearn.
I mean, when you.
Then
so did he.
Oh, so you're not the dad I thought you were. You're better
now. You were just now you're better.
So I mean that. So I could definitely see where that would be the most difficult thing out there, because of that, because of the, like they said, you're just a teenage girl, but I mean you already suffered a lot, you suffered, mom and dad not being there, mom having 1,000 guy friends,
Yep, which led to me staying a lot. Like, I mean, I had a pretty long rope, so I stayed not at home as much as I could. Luckily I had some great friends that had great parents who I'd stay at their house for days on end, because I just didn't really want to be home. I just didn't want to. And so, which also led me to, I graduated high school early. I graduated in January instead of waiting till May, because I turned 18 in January. So I turned 18 and I moved out 2 weeks later. I was out of the house. So I was already working full time as a nurse's aide for Otterbein, and I made pretty good money. I took a second job at Coach at the outlet mall.
Which Otterbein, Lebanon?
Yeah, before it was even built onto or anything. Yeah.
Now it's like a small college campus. My wife works there, right? So it is. It's like a small college campus, that place is. but
Yeah,
it's
I worked
crazy.
I worked on the showers floor, lock unit, the dementia floor. I loved it
Uh,
for 3 years. So, um, but yeah, so I moved out of home, and that was obviously financially straining. I was also in a relationship with somebody at the time who just didn't really work, didn't have the work ethic that I had, and of course he moved in with me. So
yeah,
that led to a whole other few of
we
problems.
we like
I
to
was
call
working
them
two
free.
jobs, going to college.
We like to call those freeloaders.
Yep, yep. So I was going to college to be a nurse. I was going to Kettering College of Medical Arts, and what comes along with your parents not being super attentive or maybe not even, maybe they just weren't knowledgeable in this stuff either. It was I didn't have a lot of talk about college. Obviously it was one of those, yeah, you go to high school, you go to college. So I didn't
Mm-hmm.
have any help with any of the paperwork, any of the financial stuff, and even though I lived on my own at 18, paid all my own bills, the government doesn't care about that, so
No.
they would still use my parents' taxes. So to the government, they're like, you're loaded. Why aren't you paying for school? Because of what I made to support
Yeah.
myself, and then what both of them made added together. So I didn't get a lot of help with school. So after the first semester, I did have to drop out so that I could transfer somewhere that was cheaper.
Hmm.
So that was a pretty big blow. I always have
Yeah.
this vision in my head of myself and what my life was supposed to be like, the path, and so anytime it just seemed like there was setback after setback after setback. And I think that led a lot to the depression, was thinking I wasn't where I needed to be, or think I needed to be further along
Mm-hmm.
because of this or that, a lot of pressure on myself.
Yeah. I always say that. I mean, especially for me, I know this is different than others, but like sometimes what we want for ourselves is not what is intended. You know what I'm saying? Is
Right.
like for me, like my higher power, I know at one time or another wanted totally something different than what I wanted for myself. You know, so
Mm-hmm.
that could always come into play right there because we think we're supposed to do this, we think we're supposed to do that, and then the stars don't align. And
Mm-hmm.
and of course we do look down on ourselves because we're not doing what we think we're supposed to do.
Right.
Like so. Yeah, I get that how that had to be pretty hard right there. Because you're not able to do what you want to do. You know, so
Right.
yeah, I would
Right.
definitely see
So
that as a struggle.
yeah, for the next few years after that, I mean, it was the same thing where it was kind of in and out of classes as I could pay for them, um, which was fine. I was still living on my own, everything. And then in, I want to say 2013, I met a former boss of mine, who offered me a job with American Honda at the Honda dealership, working in the service department as a service advisor, which was that was life-changing moment right there, because it took me from making, like money to get by, to like life-changing money, and I was very
Yeah,
young. And so you think that'd be like a really big up in life. I mean, it is. I still have a great group of like friends who are basically family. Kayla, Lauren,
hmm
they're all from Honda. They're part of the OG Honda fam. And so I was there for yeah, I was there for a long time, and we had a good time. And I was making lots of money. I had met my husband at that time. We were dating, and just living the life. And then in 2016, or no, 2015, I guess, I got pregnant with my oldest, my son. He's 9 now. But, and I don't want to say, so one way that I knew like the depression was always, so every time since I can remember, basically into adulthood, I wake up crying. I don't now. I would wake up crying every single morning. Just wake up
yeah,
instantly crying. And it was like, I can say now that I know I was like crying because I had woken up. Like I was
yeah,
literally crying because I had woken up that day. I had to go another day. And so then once I had my son, that made it even harder, because you get that instant parent guilt where you're like, how can I feel this way when I have this amazing little
Yeah.
being?
Yeah. That
So
that that had
that's
to be.
when, yeah, it was
Yeah.
tough.
That.
It was tough. And then
Yeah.
we worked a lot of hours at Honda. So I was gone from him a lot pretty early in his life. Like it seemed like, babies go to bed early, but when you don't get off till 7 o'clock at night, well, he's in bed, and then go to work early. Because I worked 11-hour days because at that time I was doing a 4-day work week. So it was tough there for a few months. But fast forward to 2018, and we bought our home that we live at now, which we love. We got lucky. We lost out on a lot, and we were about to quit looking because that's when the market started booming. People were just like
Yeah.
fighting over houses. I mean, we got
Mm-hmm.
outbid by like $10,000-$15,000 asking on multiple houses. It was
Wow.
wild. Yeah, we got lucky, and I had seen somebody post on the Lebanon Facebook page that they were about to have an open house for their house that they're doing for sale by owner. It was like, it was like close to midnight, and I messaged her and pleaded our case, told her everything that had happened, and asked if we could please see the house before she had her open house, and she agreed. And we came and we brought our little 2-year-old, little curly headed, and he ran around, the 3 acres because we live on some land, just laughing and loving it. And he sold it for us before we left. They're like, we want you guys to have it. We're not going to have the open house if you want it. And
Wow.
so we got really lucky.
Yeah.
Yep, we closed on it in May of 2018, and then our wedding was planned for September of 2018. So there was like a few months there that were pretty extreme.
Yeah. I bet. Yeah. I mean, you go from
Lots of
buying a
crying.
house to getting married within that time frame.
Yeah.
I'm surprised. I mean, I can't tell, but I'm surprised you don't have gray hairs because all that right there would have given me, well, more gray hairs.
Oh yeah. Yep. And that like wasn't the plan. I forget when we started trying to buy a house, but it had been a while. So there was
Yeah.
already supposed to be a way. But and my husband is from Dubuque, Iowa, so he's all of his family. They all traveled here, so we had to have our house ready. You
Yeah.
know. So it was tough, but we did it. We had an amazing wedding. I would do it all over again if I didn't have to do all the work for it because we had a blast. We did. Everybody had a great time. And then from there, it just seems like that's when I can really just remember hitting a brick wall. I don't know. I don't know where. I can't say when, but that's when it was like I just stopped getting out of bed. Started to be like I'd be in bed all day, but I'd still get up that day, and then gradually it
Hmm.
just worse and worse and worse. Where I could sleep for days at a time, and
And is
it
that
was like I'd be asleep, I'd kind of wake up and sorry, go ahead.
is that is that because you had so much going on that I'm not gonna say that you had a people please, but you kind of had a people please, you know?
Oh, I
'Cause-
had a people please mindset, definitely. Yes.
yeah,
Yep.
you know what
Yep.
I'm saying? So like,
And it was like
yeah,
my worth came from me people pleasing.
yeah. So I
And
mean, I could, I
so
could,
when I
I could
couldn't
definitely
do it,
see, yeah, I could definitely see why you hit that wall, because
yeah.
you're you're held to this standard, okay, but then
Hmm.
you only feel like this. So sooner or later,
Yep.
this will become this, and
Right.
I sympathize with you on that because
Yep.
I used to be a people pleaser, and now
Hmm.
it's when you do that, it takes away from the way you feel, because you're still
Hmm.
dealing with those inner thoughts. You're still dealing with that,
Yep.
what why me,
Yeah.
all these people like me, but they only like me because I'm a people pleaser. They don't like me for who I am, really. So I totally get
Right.
why you
Right.
hit
Like
that
I'm
wall.
naturally a caregiver, and so
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So I'm naturally a caregiver, and when you're not, so you're always say, yeah, I can help you with this, or I could do that, or whatever, knowing that I had this, and this going on too, and it wasn't going to be a good situation. 9 times out of
Hmm.
10, towards the end there, it just turned into almost like a crash out, and I let everybody down. And it's the thing
Yeah.
that sucks with that is that we are the ones that hold themselves to that standard, not anybody
Mm-hmm.
else. It's me, and
Yeah.
that's almost worse than having like other people making you feel like you're held to that and you can't reach it.
Well, we hold our standards to there because that's what people want us to be. I mean, let's just be honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody's done it. Everybody's guilty of
Hmm.
having your standards here because that's what Tom, Joe, Sally, Greg, Lauren. That's what everybody wants. Nobody wants you
Yep.
at your average. You know what I'm saying? No, they want you to be
Yep.
this when technically speaking, you're not here. You're down here. So
Yeah. Which is why social media is so toxic, but that's a whole nother
well,
conversation.
yes. Hey, well, one day maybe we will get on mental
Yeah.
health and social media, and that'll be another topic. But
Yeah.
yeah, I get you there. It's I don't want to go on that tangent, but it is so
Yeah.
toxic, especially for kids. Sorry,
I
mom
mean,
and
we're all
dads.
guilty of it. I'm not going to
We
post a
are.
picture of myself crying and having a low day. I'm going to post a picture of my kids playing and having fun. I mean, it's everybody's guilty of it, but
Yeah,
you have to know when to rein it in. You have to know when to take a break and when to know that
yep,
it's not like that all the time. There is a
yeah,
behind the scenes.
yeah. I mean, well, it's I like to call it the clown face. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
It's like you go out in public and you put on this smile for everybody, you know, just like a clown. But underneath that smile, underneath the pretty makeup, the pretty hair, you're a woman who is crying out for help because of the
Hmm.
stuff that she's dealing with on the inside, you know. And
Yeah.
but
Yeah. And I mean, even
you
when I
know,
was happy, I was very emotional. If I could, any kind of video with any sort of emotion in, I mean, I just cry. I mean, I
yeah,
cry. Everybody, they'd be like, why are you sitting at your desk crying right now, Lacie? And I'd be like, look at this duck. It's lost its mom, but
I
very
I,
like,
I do that now. Okay, my wife will tell
oh, I
you
mean, it was over the top.
I am more emotional than my wife. We can be sitting in the living room
Yeah.
watching a TV show, and I bet, and she goes, "Are you crying?" I'm like, "No, I'm not crying. I don't know what you're talking about." Yes, I'm that guy, but I've always
That's
been
okay.
somewhat of an emotional guy, but like now, geez, yeah, it's crazy. It is.
Yeah.
I
I
blame
get
it on this
emotional for different
podcast.
stuff now, more of like a happy stuff. Like I get
Yeah,
emotional happy stuff, but
yeah.
not sad, but
So
so
you,
believe it or not, that went on for like the next 2 years from
yeah,
2018 to 2020 of just progressively getting worse, not getting out of bed. Um, I was talking about suicide, I was talking about taking my own life and people were like, well, what about your son? And it's like, but you get to that point where you feel, well, what will it do to him to have a mom that's like this, that's in bed all the time, sick, that, you think about it
yeah,
that way instead of the way that it really is, that
yeah,
they need you here. And so a lot of people think that, suicide or thoughts of suicide, it's so selfish, but the only thing going through your mind when you're thinking about that stuff is other people,
yeah,
how you want
yeah,
it to be better for them. And you truly, truly believe that. Like, I never knew such hopelessness until I was going through that major episode. I mean,
yeah.
it's a heck of a feeling.
It's, and I can speak on that because I'm a 3-time suicide survivor. You know,
Hmm.
and at the times that I did it, I said, what, everybody's gonna be okay. Because I won't be here anymore. You know, um,
Right.
my family will be okay. My friends will be okay. Like, but at
Yeah.
that time that I was dealing with that, I wasn't reaching out to my family and I wasn't reaching out to my friends then. And of course this was like 20,
Yeah.
25 years ago. You know, but yeah, you do go through that those stages. And thank
Yeah.
God that you did
Yeah.
not go through
I
with
mean,
it.
I was definitely, yeah. Yes. Yes. Every day. I'm so grateful every single day. But I feel like that's where my story is a little different than some where I was telling people, and I'm not saying they didn't take me seriously, but I also have kind of a dry, dark sense of humor. My best friend Kayla, sometimes I make her cry accidentally, just telling her something that is pretty funny that I think is, and so I
Yeah.
don't know if Lacie has big emotions, that's just Lacie. She's emotional, but I did talk about it enough to the point where, when I was basically just laying in bed waiting to die, my best friend at the time came to my house, dragged me out of my bed, told me get a bag together, and took me to a mental health facility where they admitted me that night for 7 days. Which I went in kicking and screaming. I did not. I was scared. You don't know what to expect at all, not at
Yeah.
all.
No. Yeah.
And so, well, I guess so. About a month prior to that happening, I did finally go to my family doctor, who had been seeing me since I was 5. Saw my parents, and I told him the feelings I was having. He also gave me the talk of, "Are you sure it's not just you have a lot going on?"
Yeah.
Very that generation's kind of um, aspect to it. And at the time, my husband, love his heart. He's from Iowa. He's more Midwestern than anybody around here. I'll tell you that much. And he very much had the same kind of thing. Everybody has anxiety. Everybody
Yep.
gets sad sometimes. And I think that's a lot of people that don't struggle with it. I hate to say they don't, but chronically, um,
Yeah.
they truly don't get it. And I love that they don't. I don't want anybody. If I keep anybody from getting it, I would do what I had to do. So um,
Uh,
he just didn't understand either until I went to the facility, and they instantly started having like meetings with him. I think the
mm-hmm.
next day or one of the days after they had like evaluated me, they had him come in for like the family meeting. They talked to him and they brought me in and talked. And so after that, he did. I can't say he understands more, but he definitely is in full support. He can understand that even though it doesn't affect him, it does affect people, and it's not just, oh, you can get over it.
Yeah.
That it's chemically is usually not saying it's forever. The chemicals are forever. It's not a disease necessarily. It's just that your brain doesn't do it right.
Yep.
So he gets that more. I think the science side of it helped him with that, because the emotion side, he still doesn't have much of that.
Well, uh, some guys just don't. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's
I mean, here and
hard
there,
for.
he just doesn't want to talk about him, and I'm okay with that.
Uh,
We've been together a long time now.
Hey, maybe one day he will. You never know. But it's
Yeah,
hard for people, like you're talking about anxiety. It's it's hard for people to understand that. But again,
yeah.
there are different levels of anxiety. You know, and I truly believe that
Hmm.
there like I hate going grocery shopping because of my anxiety. Like I do not like going grocery shopping. Um,
Yeah.
if I go grocery
I had a
shopping,
period where I was very much like that.
I can't do it. Like it gets bad. So
Yeah, there were times I'd pull in the parking lot and I would not go in. I'd turn around and go home.
we have our groceries delivered. All right,
Yeah,
but it's really because we're busy, but it's also
yeah,
because like I can go down the road to the IGA here close to where I live at, and my anxiety gets high there, and like I have
yeah.
to call. Sometimes I have to call my wife and be like, "Look, I like I'll literally get what I want, get what I need, and go out. Like I
Yep.
can't go shopping because my anxiety gets really bad when I'm grocery shopping.
Well,
But
and sometimes it just comes out of nowhere too. Like it could be any
uh,
situation. Even you're just like, I have no idea why this is making me anxious right now.
yeah, yeah, you can feel your heart racing and everything. Then you're like, all right, it's almost panic attack type anxious, you know, and
Right.
that's
Hmm.
and that's the kind right there when I just have to like, okay, I'm okay. You know, you got to breathe. You got to work through it. you know.
Yep.
But yeah, like I said, there are different levels of anxiety, and some of those levels are the kind where you do have to seek out some type of treatment or help, you know. So
Right.
uh,
Right.
kudos to
And
your
I wasn't
friend.
even considering. Yeah.
Kudos to your
For
friend
taking
for
me, definitely.
yeah for taking you
Yeah.
kicking and screaming.
We're not in each other's lives anymore, for other reasons that, they're not important, but I
Yeah,
still thank God for her. I mean, I really do. I really do. She's the one that did it. She was the one that was there. She came and saw me
yeah.
every single day. Every single day she came to see me, and she supported me through that. And so I have still will always have a little spot for her where, I'm very thankful for her in that,
Well,
definitely.
I'm not I'm not saying that relationships can't be mended, but
Right.
maybe on down the road that you'll be able to sit down face to face and whatever trials and tribulations you went to get you
Yeah.
to the point where you're not friends anymore. Maybe you'll be able to sit down and be like, all right, look, maybe we should really talk about this, but you know,
Maybe. But if not, then
or maybe
just
not,
know,
you know, because sometimes,
yeah.
yeah, sometimes the friends that we think are our friends really aren't our friends and are more toxic for us in a way than what we need in our lives, even if they've helped us out through difficult
Right.
times. You know, so
Right.
it's just one of those things. But
Yep.
you can't say, nah, I'm gonna write her off because she did help you out. You know what I'm saying? So
Oh, yeah, no, for sure, for sure. It was more of the other way around situation. I don't want to give
yeah,
details or anything like that, but
nope, you're good.
and it's not an excuse, but there's the ex- just because you go and get the help at the mental health facility doesn't mean that when you get out, you're fixed, like
Yeah,
you're perfect. You know what I mean? What it gave
yeah,
me in there was the connections to the type of doctors that I need. It got me started on a
hmm
medication regimen. I took a lot of lessons on, like, um, coping mechanisms, which they seem so silly and cliche, but when the week I got out of there is the week the world shut down. So I had a
wow,
lot of time at home to do those coping mechanisms,
hmm
but it still took time. So in that time, my mental health caused me to hurt her pretty badly in a way, and
yeah,
so I respect her decision. I grieved it for a long time, actually. I've came to my own peace with it and everything, and that's okay. But I still thank God for
hmm
her part in it, because without her, who knows.
yeah. So during that
So,
time, you were talking about when the world shut down because of COVID.
hmm
I, like for me, and this isn't for everybody, but for me, I was able to still work at that time because I worked from home, but then I worked at a liquor
hmm
store, and liquor store employees were essential. But I
yep.
I actually
Of
I
all things.
enjoyed I enjoyed the peacefulness and the quietness, you know, and
Yeah.
it
So,
was amazing.
so
It was great.
yeah, yeah. So I was blessed too when all this was going on. The automotive network that I worked for, I had moved from the service department to our body shop, and they were a great company. So I was able to do like FMLA when all this started. So I was on a leave anyways. Um,
Yeah.
this was in February of 2020, so I was on a leave anyways. And then when I was set to come back, he was had to furlough me anyways.
hmm
So that just turned into me not working for a while after that. But I enjoyed my husband and I. We are not the we're not the majority. Like, there was a lot of people that hated each other's guts, a lot of divorces and stuff. No, we had the best. We were so much closer. We had the best time because he
Yeah.
could work from home
Okay.
too. He works in technology, and I mean, we did not want the world to reopen. We kind of were hoping they'd shut
Yeah.
it down again when there was that second little scare.
So I mean, at the time, uh, I was in a very toxic relationship. Okay.
Uh,
So um, that wasn't so great, but
right.
you
And that
know,
was a lot of people's situation.
yeah. And I'm not in that toxic relationship anymore because I met my wife at the end of that toxic relationship. But yeah, like I am one of those people during that time when the world shut down for those couple weeks to a month. Hey, I was living in Kentucky, right across the river, but I still went out. I was mindful.
Mhm.
You know, um,
Yep.
but I enjoyed the peace and quiet. And then
Yeah.
that's really when social media, the toxicness of it all, that's really when it really went poof. Because
Yep.
everybody,
And that's when my usage of it went down because I was using that time to start um, hobbies and things like that. Like everybody
yeah,
was, but like I said, we
yeah,
had some land and I love to garden, so I did a lot of gardening, learning and what not to grow and what I wanted to grow and things like that. We did a lot of outside projects. Um, Gosh, all kinds of things. We were those people that would go to Home Depot with the mask on because we're like, we need our supplies to do our projects.
yeah,
So.
yeah. So you know
um,
you're dealing with that. So let's progress. You come out of getting help. You know, um,
mhm.
COVID pretty much shuts everything down. Where were you at, like in your journey? Of your mental health.
So they had me there for 7 days, and then I had to. That was inpatient, intensive inpatient. Um, Lockdown. They take all your strings out of all your clothes. You're not allowed to have shoelaces, like anything. I mean, they strip search you. They're very, because the thing about that is not everybody that's in there has just, I don't want to say just, has what you have going on. And there are different
Yeah.
levels to mental health for sure, for sure. So you see some things, but it also helped put perspective on some things too in a healthy way. As I'm
Hmm.
leaving there, my therapist there gave me the good old unhealthy way of see, maybe now that you've stayed here, you'll see that you don't have it quite as bad as some. And maybe he didn't mean it that way, but the way he worded it, I was just like, all right, this is just how it is.
Yeah.
Like I
You should.
felt a little better. I felt hopeful that I
Yeah.
had a path that I could take, but it was just one more reminder that like, you don't have it as bad as a lot of people. Like you have everything that you could want. You're successful, this or that, and
Yeah.
you shouldn't be feeling this way. It should be easy to come out of
But
this,
but then but then again,
And I mean, I did come out
you
like on a high for sure.
yeah. And like, but then again, that's one thing you don't want to hear. Because as a medical professional, that guy shouldn't have been comparing yours to other people because you're
Right.
you're in that facility for the same reason the other person is. Your mental
Hmm.
health sucks. You know,
Yeah.
so like I hate when I hear people compare their mental health to others because
Right.
mental health sucks. Yes, your your journey might be a little bit different. But you're in there for a
Hmm.
reason. You're not in there because you want to get away from your husband and your kids. So
Right.
I mean,
Right.
I hope that therapist knows now that, hey, your mental health is just the same as theirs. It's just as important. So I
Right.
just
Right.
sorry to go off on that tangent, but yeah, it's
That's all
it's
right.
just because yeah, you do that and you're like, oh, um, my mental health is not so bad as Tom's or Jerry's. So yeah, I mean
Right.
that had away a little bit. That
Yeah. Definitely.
because
Definitely. It was just another reminder that like, was I just being silly? Was I actually depressed, or was I actually just being dramatic? You start to almost like you just start to question your own self, even though the feelings that you're
yeah,
having are genuine, but you start to question them yourself. But
hmm
so they had me go. So I left, and then that following week I started. They call it IOP, intensive outpatient, where for two
hmm
weeks you're supposed to be there for 8 hours a day, but I went to one day, and then the next day is when they shut everything down, and we had to go stay at home. So we did it online, and then so when I got done with that, then I went into just regular outpatient, which wasn't as intensive. So it was like 3 or 4 hours a day
Yeah.
for a week online. And I felt pretty good. Towards the end of it, I started sleeping more again. And, you know, but I was practicing coping mechanisms. I was taking dry erase markers and writing myself notes on my mirror and, saying them out loud to myself. It
Hmm.
sounds so cliche, but it works. It takes some time, but it works. You
Yeah.
feel silly when you first start doing it, just affirmations, like just speaking the positivity. Um, so it did work, but I just still felt like something was missing even still. I was on a good regimen of medication, and everything, but like a lot of people did in COVID too, then our second child came. And so those hormones didn't help at all. And then
You mean
just
to tell me
out of
babies were born
nowhere,
during COVID?
I know. Well, and then when she was 6 months old, almost 7, we found out our third one was coming. And that
Darn
one
those
we really didn't plan on.
darn those COVID babies.
Yeah, yeah. I love my youngest son and I would not give him back, but I'm not going to lie. When I read that pregnancy test at midnight, I yelled the F word at the top of my lungs in my bathroom and I cried all night long because I still had a baby and
Yeah.
I did not know what I was going to do. So then that was a very hard pregnancy. I was very sick. I was very
Mm.
anemic to the point where they had me doing blood transfusions twice every week for the last few weeks of my pregnancy. Um, Through all of this time, I was sleeping a lot, but I was pregnant for 3 years, basically. I was pregnant, almost. It seemed like 2 years. And so my body just wasn't normal anyways, but I wasn't feeling the like I want to die, thing. So I was better. I was getting better. I felt like I was on the path. And
Hmm.
then in that time too, I did a lot of learning, like a lot of online learning about just more about the mental health and the psyche and how it works and everything. And that actually really helped me a lot more than I thought the medication did. Um, I started to see it in a different way and like accept it in a different way. And I did a lot of that work myself with that. Luckily, had the opportunity since COVID and having babies. I didn't go back to work after my third one was born, so I stayed home and I babysat for a friend who had a child a few weeks after him for a year, and that was a hard year. I had all the kids there, and that's when I started sleeping more even again. I just didn't get it. My psychiatrist was like, maybe you need to talk to your MD about it. And so I talked to him and he'd be, I think it's psychiatric. I'd go see a different one. It's psychiatric. Okay, well, my psychiatrist is saying that it's not. So
Yeah.
nobody would help me out with that. So I just called the sleep center myself and said, I don't have a referral. I will pay for it. I need a sleep study. And I convinced them to
Hmm.
let me schedule a sleep study. It was like a 6 month waiting list, though. But in that time, I kept a sleep record. And so there was a week in February of that year. So we're going to 2023 now, I want to say 2023, 2000. Yeah, that I slept, I was only awake for 40 hours out of that week. That's it.
Hmm.
Like, and it was to the point where like I couldn't be woken up. Like I couldn't be like my husband could not wake me up. Like it was a scary thing. Like, and my blood pressure would go really low.
Mm.
But they did the sleep test and turned out I had narcolepsy, and that is what a lot of the sleeping was from. Right around the same time, I also got diagnosed with ADHD, so my medication changed a lot. And
Hmm.
that's when things really, really changed for me. I mean, honestly, there was a lot of symptoms that were related to my narcolepsy with cataplexy and my ADHD that weren't depression related at all. So I wasn't even being treated properly, really, for
Yeah.
several years. And it's only been up from there since I advocated for myself, since I kept like looking for answers, you
That's
know?
what that's what Brittany just said. Advocate for yourself,
Yeah.
which I think a lot of people should do. Because
Yeah.
here's the thing: just because a doctor tells you one thing doesn't mean that
Right.
that doctor's right, you know? And
Mm-hmm.
and
Yep.
but a lot of people are afraid to advocate for themselves simply because of what if what the doctor's saying is right, you know? Well,
Right.
it's like getting a second opinion, you know?
Yeah.
You got a
Mm-hmm.
second opinion, it still wasn't the right thing.
I got a fifth,
Uh,
sixth, seventh opinion,
yeah.
honestly,
Fi-
before
finally
I
you're
did it
like,
myself.
well, yeah. Finally you're like, all right, screw this.
Yeah. Like, I'm
I'm
happy.
I'm
I'm not sad. I just can't wake up now, you
yeah.
know?
I'm just suffering with narcolepsy, you know, and then
Yeah.
you figure that out. You get that balanced out.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
I mean that I think a lot of people just quit trying after a while because of that, because they're afraid to advocate for themselves. I think people should advocate for themselves with mental health. You know, I mean
Yeah. Well,
it's
and here's
so
the thing, like mental health is not overnight. And
yeah
so, your doctor puts you on meds and you take them for 3 months and you're not feeling any different, then you need to switch it up, but you have to give it that time. And
yep
that's where a lot of people fall back. And that's where it's the hardest is because you start to feel hopeless again. Like there is nothing that's going to help. I'm always going to
yeah.
feel this way. Why even go back to the doctor? Why even tell them anything different than what they want to hear? I'm just always going to feel this way.
Well,
And
or
that that sucks
it
that you feel that way too.
it could be, and I've seen this. Except for my doctor, my doctor is very holistic. He would much rather figure out things a holistic way than to put you on a medication. You know,
Hmm.
before. I mean, that's like the last resort type of thing. You know,
Right.
but like I feel like a lot of doctors just here, take this pill, take
Hmm.
this pill. You know, and
Yep.
I'm not saying that medication is bad for your mental health, but a lot of those doctors are over prescribing meds, and in turn doesn't help your mental health out because you're taking so many meds that these
Right.
doctors are saying that are going to help when in all reality sometimes you don't need that handful of medicine, you know. So
Right.
it's
Right. No,
but
I
then
fully
again,
believe in the holistic stuff too.
yeah,
But
but
I have
then
a
again
lot of people
that's
that do the pushback with the medication and they say
yeah,
that, like, I don't believe in meds. I don't want to be on meds. Well, it doesn't have to be forever. It
yeah,
doesn't have to be forever. It might be. And if it is, that's okay. But it doesn't have to be forever.
yep,
Sometimes your brain just needs a little bit of help kickstarting that chemical or whatever it's missing,
yeah,
and you can taper off and not have the effects. Some people have to take it for life or whatever, and
yep,
you deal with that if you have to. But medication shouldn't be like looked down on, in my opinion, because it saved my life.
yeah,
It definitely saved my life. It helped me regulate everything that I needed to
yeah,
because I really didn't do talk therapy or anything. I just educated myself on a lot of stuff, which led
yep,
to me asking more questions and knowing that, getting the real help I needed. I mean, I needed this psychiatry too, obviously, but there was more to it than just that. There
yeah.
were factors that were making
So
my life a lot harder.
so this is an interesting thing that
Hmm.
Brittany brings up. That talking about trial and error on meds is dangerous because
Yep.
and that's with like you see it now on the TV. With all these meds that are out now, they're supposed to help
Yeah.
you, but a lot of the side effects is depression, is suicidal thoughts, things of
Hmm.
that nature. But
Yep.
like you said, that some people do need those meds, and to those who do need them to get through and to help them out, by God, take them. All right,
Yeah.
but like you said, advocate for yourself. If you don't
And
think
see a doctor that is specializes in mental health. Don't go see your family
yes,
doctor because that's what led
yeah,
to my spiral. Was he just put me on like the most commercialized depression medicine at the time, and it wasn't the
yeah,
right kind for me. And I within a month was in the mental hospital, like bad off. So you have to try multiple, and if one is making you feel, there are different kinds,
yep,
but that's why having a doctor that really listens to you and takes everything into consideration
Yeah.
is very important. You're
So
allowed to
let's
doctor shop for your mental health doctor.
yeah. So let's fast forward to life now.
Yes.
All right. You
So
know,
now sorry,
go
I
ahead,
didn't mean to cut
sorry.
you. I think there's like a little bit of a delay,
There's
but
a little bit
now
of lag, yeah.
yeah. So I started. So after a year of babysitting and staying at home, I was like, this isn't helping me. The routine, having a routine is crucial in maintaining my mental health. I've noticed. Getting up at the same time every day. I let myself sleep in some, but I just have to keep a routine because as soon as it's off for even a little bit of time, it will throw me and
Mm-hmm.
not back to where I was, never back to where I was. But that's the thing with mental health is that, your days are so much better that then when you have low days, you feel really low in those days, but then you work through them, you feel them, and you move forward because you can recognize them differently now. So, but anyways, when I did decide to go back to work, I decided to do a job that wasn't so asking of me, I guess. I didn't want to go back into like the corporate world. I didn't even really want to do customer service at all, but I wanted to be available to my kids, just not as available as I had been to them for the prior
Mm-hmm.
year. So I started cleaning houses. I started my own cleaning business called Brighten Your Space, and I did that a couple days a week, and that for about a year. But I still wasn't. I was still trying to figure it out. So then I took a job serving at Texas Roadhouse where I still serve, and I make the money that I need to make, and I'm able to schedule kid things around it, work when I can, or when I can't, not. So, or when we have beautiful days, I can give up my shift and be in my garden, which is also how I maintain my mental health right now, still with the
Mm-hmm.
hobbies. I love gardening, plants. I've gotten more into flowers than food, mostly because my family's pretty picky and won't eat a lot of stuff that I can grow. um, and just trying to be more present. I mean, more present. I know, again, it's like a cliche thing, but getting off of the doom scrolling, at least of the certain social media. I watch a lot of true crime. If I'm doom scrolling, I'm doom scrolling that kind of stuff. But
All right. Doom scrolling. Don't do it,
hmm
people. And
it'll kill your
not that
day.
yeah. So the only reason why I even have social media is simply because of the outreach that I do through my bearding
Hmm.
and through the podcast, or else I wouldn't have it. Uh, I think social media is a terrible thing for mental health. You
It
know,
is.
um, especially with the way the world is right now. You know, don't
Well, just how the algorithms work. I mean, they play off of
yeah
your emotions. If you see one sad video or something depressing, then you see one after another after
yeah
another. You know it, you're like, man, I feel like crap. You
yep.
know. So that's why I do a lot of learning still. I'm
Uh,
always researching things. I just got into a lot of the herbal stuff more. I have quite a few tinctures going right now because we have a lot of great native herbs on our land here. So I'm learning about all of that too right now.
nice. That's so you're still busy,
Yeah.
which is
Yep.
great. But yeah, and I believe didn't you say you're doing some work with the nanny? If I read that correctly,
Yeah.
is it?
Yep. Yeah. I've done some. So the month of September for my cleaning clients or anybody that adds any schedules a clean or has anything extra, 50% of our proceeds gets split and goes to NAMI, and then the other half goes to the ALS Foundation, the Dayton chapter.
Uh,
My uncle Terry passed away of ALS, and the Dayton chapter was amazing. They helped him get everything he needed. It was a pretty fast progression, but yeah. So I do that in the month of September for suicide awareness, and then for ALS Foundation. I've talked with NAMI and done like peer to peer talking.
mm,
I haven't done like a big huge group thing yet. I would like to do motivational stuff or just speaking in general one day to the youth, not like, just like teenage, because there were times in my teenage year where I just thought it was, I mean, I thought it was really rough. Not that it wasn't rough, but I
yeah.
feel like I feel like I could help people in that situation, in that age bracket a lot. That high school isn't real life. College
Mm,
isn't really real life either. You know what I mean? And like, because I had a lot of friends pass away from mental health stuff in that
uh,
time period too. Just to give them hope that you can achieve the things that you want to achieve, and success doesn't mean you have a job that pays six figures and you live in a big, huge house. And success is what I mean. I have the family I have. I feel like I'm a good mom. I have
hmm
good friends surrounding me. I don't have 10,000 friends, but I have enough good friends that be there for me. And that is now my version of success. Not that I have to be a nurse and I have to have dinner on the table at this time every single night, homemade. And that
yeah.
changing that part of my mindset has changed a lot of things. It really
You're
has.
you you're doing what makes you happy, and in turn,
Hmm.
that's what matters. You know.
Yep.
And
Yep.
so, thank you for doing that,
Yeah.
and thank you for coming on and sharing your story. But
Thank you.
before we wrap up, if there's something that you could tell anybody out there who might be struggling, or who might be questioning their self worth, or who might be questioning, I'm happy, but why do I feel sad? If there's a
Hmm.
word of encouragement that you give somebody out there, what would that be?
Well, I'm wearing a shirt that says it right. Tomorrow needs you. It does. It does. My Brittany is here that's watching. I mean, if it weren't for me going and if it wasn't for me staying and starting to get the help, Brittany wouldn't be here either. I
Uh,
was able to help lead Brittany to ones that, tomorrow does need you. You might not know why right now or be able to find why or see why, but it does need you. You wouldn't be here if it didn't. And reach out, try, I mean, talk about it, talk loud about it if that's what makes you feel better.
uh,
Don't suffer in silence, because there's a lot of us out here that you would, I mean, passing me in the grocery store, people might like, look at that girl with her kids. She's so happy. They might not know, they have no idea. So don't be ashamed. Know that there's nothing shameful about it. Everybody has mental health, and some just
uh,
have more than others.
that's right. Well, thank you, Lacie, for coming on. Thank you for responding to my cry
Thank
for
you.
help on Let's Talk Lebanon.
Yep.
And anybody who's watching this, if you want to be as brave as Lacie and come on and share your story, I welcome that. But thank you very much,
Yeah.
Lacie. I'm gonna kick
And
I'm
if
gonna
you
kick
don't
you to
know
the
where to
back.
get the resources to help,
Yeah.
come to me. I can give you whatever resources you may
Uh,
need.
so I'm gonna
All
kick you
right.
to the
Thank you.
backstage and wrap up the show, but I'll be with you in a little bit. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, that is it, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Thank you all. Thank you to all of Lacey's friends for coming on and viewing. Um, if you want to, follow Shape the Podcast on YouTube, on Facebook. I would appreciate it. Um, Share the podcast with your friends, with your family, and let's help others who are going through things in their lives. Let's uh, let's help them know that they matter. You matter. All right. So again, thank you all very much. I say this every week. Uh, this podcast is not just my podcast. This podcast is your podcast. All right. Have a great weekend. Like I said, if you're in the Lebanon area and specifically Clarksville, Ohio, um, tomorrow on the 20th and the 21st, my wife is going to be vending at a craft fair called Homestead Market on Creek, and it goes from 10 to 4. So stop by and say hi to her. Stop by and say hi to me. Um, but yeah, reach out if you need somebody to talk to. Um, you matter, and the world's a better place with you in it than 6 feet under. Have a great night, everybody. See you for another awesome episode in 2 weeks on October 5th.